All right, guys, if you have a 2007 to 2025 Wrangler or a 2020 plus Gladiator truck and you're tired of the front bumper, you want to personalize the Jeep, get something smaller, something trickier, and add a winch and some auxiliary lights, then this video is for you. I have come up with an affordable bumper, winch, and monster size auxiliary lights for this thing that will cost you a lot less than what's out there. I mean, you can spend a ton of money on this if you want, thousands and thousands of dollars on a front bumper assembly. But this, what I'm about to show you, is about as affordable as you will get without being a total piece of crap. Let's start with the foundation of everything, and that is the front bumper. This is a stubby bumper designed by the guys over at VIJAY, and you can find this bumper on Amazon for only $269.99. And yes, I did buy this, and I looked at bumpers for weeks trying to find just exactly what I needed. Everybody's application is different, and obviously I wanted the winch mounting, but I also wanted something with a low profile, what do they call this, a bull bar or something, a low profile bar, because the lights that I'm mounting on top are pretty big and I don't want them sticking up above the hood. So we'll get to those in a little bit. To me, this bumper looks great. I know it's super inexpensive and you're thinking that thing's garbage and it's gonna buckle first time you put it under any kind of a strain. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, we'll find out. I went with this one because of the style, not because of the price. I was willing to spend upwards of 650 bucks on a bumper, and I just couldn't find one I liked. I looked at Quadratech and everything. This is where I landed. $269 is crazy. And it comes with everything you see here, except for this piece here, which came with the winch, and I'll go over that next. But yeah, it came with these shackles, with these red vibration isolators, I guess you could call them. You got like safety hooks here for pulling. What is this, a 20-watt LED on both sides? Kind of a cool added feature there. You've got two holes here for your fog lights. Hopefully the stock ones fit. And it's not just a hole. It's got a sleeve inside here with mounting tabs in the back. So we'll get to that as we're mounting it up. But it's a great looking bumper, and what I love about it is it's about the width of the grille. VIJAY is the one for this. Let me kind of roll this thing forward, show you what's going on top. So you do have your winch mounting slots right there. You can see here this bar, everything is welded on. These are all welded on. Even these mounting locations in the front are all welded on. You can see here in the back, those are the auxiliary light mounting locations. You got some short wires for LED lights. And like almost all these bumpers, it's got that wrinkle powder coated finish. I guess they all use this because it doesn't show scratches as easily. But it looks good, doesn't look cheap or anything. We'll get that mounted up and hopefully everything fits just right. The bumper also does come with mounting bolts, all the mounting hardware you'll need. And like a lot of the stuff that comes from China, when they want a heavy duty bolt, it always comes with this 8.8 on it. That is not a grade 8 bolt. This is more like a grade 5. If you want grade 8 bolts, for real grade 8 bolts, I went to the hardware store and they gave me these. They're actually like a 10.9, which is a grade 8. So I'm gonna use these instead, and they're black, so they'll look better against the black bumper, even though I am using these gold washers. That's cool, it'll kind of match my Jeep. But these might be fine. I went ahead and stepped up to a true grade 8, and you don't need to, but you can. Just want to let you know that. Now, the main construction of this bumper is 9/16 inch steel, and it has a claimed weight of 66 pounds. So I'm going to weigh this against the stock bumper and see if we're actually adding weight to the Jeep just with the bumper. And I think I should have shown you too, there are two mounting tabs on the bar for mounting lights. So that was a requirement that I have. And no cutting or drilling. This should be a direct bolt on. And if it is, we'll find out. Now, the winch capability of this bumper is 12,000 pounds. So if you want to go to a 13,500 pound winch, this is not the bumper for you. So once again, VIJAY, $269.99 on Amazon. It arrived in less than 7 days. Next up is the OpenRoad 12,000 pound winch. This thing is so compact. I expected it to be bigger, but it looks like it's constructed really nice. All metal construction. The only thing that's plastic is this piece right here. And it does come with a synthetic rope. I wanted that over the steel rope. Those steel ropes scare me. What's wild is they say winches with synthetic rope usually cost more than the steel rope winches. Surprise, surprise. So that rope, it's 88 feet long, 3/8 diameter. So that's plenty of length to get you out of any kind of trouble. The overall weight of this entire winch, you're looking at about 65 pounds and 6.5 horsepower motor. That's the same motor that comes on their 13,500 pound winch. I'm really happy with this thing. Of course, I love the black with the red styling. Comes with everything you need. It did come with the fair lead, which I already showed you, mounted to the front bumper. And let's show you the accessories it comes with, which is very nice. You get 2 remote controls. So you see they're simply in, out. The round button's the power button. You just press and hold it for about 3 seconds. And then that little triangle up there lights up. Can't see it because the sun's blazing. So you get 2 remotes. You get 1 hardwired controller right here. I don't know how long that is, the lead is, but it looks very long. It's definitely long enough to get you out of the way, get you into the driver's seat if that's where you want to be. And you will simply plug that in right here. Only plug it in when you want to use it. Don't leave it plugged in all the time. You've also got a hook here that will attach to the end of your rope. It's got a little strap on it, which is nice. You can, when you want to pull the rope out, just grab the strap right here and pull rather than having to hang onto this hook, which would be uncomfortable. And you can also use this when you have everything pulled in. You can hook it to your bumper somewhere to get this like a snug tension on the rope. So you've also got your long lead here for your negative. That mounts under here on a bolt, you will see, and goes to your battery. You got your positive cable that goes to your battery. So this thing's almost fully assembled. All these are hooked up, ready to go. You pretty much just mount it on your bumper, hook it to your battery, and it's ready to go. Let me show you quick here. I'm not going to do full instructions or anything like that, but just this handle system is really nice for spooling, free spooling and engaging the rope. So right now you see here, this position is engaged. So that means, that's where you want it to be when you want to pull the rope in and get somebody unstuck or get something on the trail out of your way. Just rotate it like that. It pops. Hang on. Okay, so that right there is engaged. It kind of snapped down. Then you rotate it like that, it stops again, and that is free spool. So that means you can take this rope here and pull it out of the winch. Cool little branding there. So right now, the 12,000 pound winch on the OpenRoad website was $489.99. They have it marked down to $329.99. And if you use my link in the description of this video, it'll take you straight to this winch. It'll give you even bigger discount. So who doesn't like to save money, right? This bad boy, it'll ship in 1 day for free. Who doesn't love free shipping? 1 year warranty, which is nice. I imagine that's against, natural wear and tear. If you beat this thing up and screw up the rope or whatever, they're not going to warranty that. And they won't send you a whole new unit if you have a warranty. They'll send you the replacement parts. Another thing that's very important, IP68 waterproofing. If you don't understand those numbers, the 6 in the number 68 means it's fully sealed and dust proof. And the number 8 is the level of waterproofing it is. And number 8 means you can have this thing, I believe it's 3.3 feet underwater, and it'll still stay watertight. So if this thing's on your bumper and you have 3 feet of water going over it, you got much bigger issues than just what's going on with your winch. Now the battery cables are 72 inches long. Should be plenty long enough to get to any battery on any vehicle, or maybe you're mounting this on a trailer, who knows. And the line speeds vary as you're pulling something in. But I have a spec here of 5.7 feet per minute, but I know it goes faster depending on how much weight you're pulling. So there it is, the 12,000 pound OpenRoad winch for less than $329.99 using my discount code in the video description. I almost forgot, they give you a free hat. There's a nice bonus for you. Let's move on to the lights. And the grand finale are these 9-inch Shark X lights from the guys over at COLIGHT. You heard right, 9 inches of super bright light. I love that it's got like a screwless face on it. And what's great too is you can run them either as white or also amber. I do love the look of amber lights going down the road. So let's give you some of the specs on these bad boys. The white high beam is an insane 11,300 lumens. 11,300, compare that to the competition. Low beam is at 6,200, which is still pretty dang stinking bright. And if you want to run the amber, that looks really cool. And what's neat about these lights is when you power them up, there's like an animation they do. And we'll show you that later after we get them wired up. It's got a nice low profile, sturdy die-cast aluminum housing with cooling fins all around. And for the lens, you got an impact resistant polycarbonate. So hopefully that holds up to wear and tear. So you see now why I wanted such a low profile bumper bar on this. So when I mount these on top, it looks good. Now for these lights, you're looking at $156 each or $297 for a pair. But once again, you want to save money like we all do, use my link in the description of this video and knock off some dollars. Now these lights are waterproof and dustproof, but I didn't see a rating anywhere. So if I find that, I'll put it up here on the screen. But these lights have a really nice look, and you all know that when we put lights on our Jeep, we do it partially because it does look cool. So to wire up these lights, you do have to buy an extra wiring harness. It's around $25.99, and it's, what is this thing, 11 foot 5 inches long, so plenty of lead there. So right here, you got your 2 plugs that go into the lights. You got your wires that go to the battery. This switch right here turns off and on the high beam and low beam, but I'm not sure if we're going to use that. We're going to end up wiring this into the auxiliary switches in the dash of the Jeep Gladiator. And then to run the amber lights, you have these wires here that go into your running lights and your fog lights. We'll figure that all out, and then here's the other plug that goes into the light. Got a couple of relays here. So this is a really nice harness to get you all wired up. All right, guys, that's all the parts to this thing. Let's take the Gladiator to the garage and mount it up. All right, first thing to get the front bumper off is we're going to remove these 2 plastic clips right here and one on the other end here. It'll allow us to detach this piece here. Just going to take a flathead screwdriver, pull it up, comes right out. All right, below the front bumper is your skid plate. I'm going to take it off to get access to the bolts to remove the bumper. So I'm just going to take a bolt out here and here on both ends. That's pretty painless. Now I got full access to this whole area here, and I can easily see the 4 bolts holding the bumper onto the chassis, 4 on this side, 4 on that side. And I used a 13mm socket to get off the skid plate. Now to take off the bumper, I'm using 18mm. Careful not to get dirt in your eyes. Working under here. Might want to put on safety glasses. I'm using a fairly long ratchet, but that wasn't super tight. Plenty of room in here to get at these nuts on the back side. Now, also notice there's a electrical connector right here. Gonna want to undo that. So yeah, let's take these 8 bolts out and the bumper should come off. Power angled ratchet is so handy at times like this. That's awesome. You can even use it to crack the bolt loose. In this case, the nut. I'm gonna leave one of the nuts connected on this end until I get the other side undone and get that electrical unplugged. All right, that was pretty simple. And I got the electrical unplugged. I don't think this thing's gonna be super heavy. So, a pair of gloves just in case there's something sharp. There we go. Okay. Piece of cake. How does this thing feel for weight? Yeah, that's pretty light. That feels more like about 35 or 40 pounds, if that. We can weigh it. So here's how basic it is for your front bumper. You just got your electrical plug. Came undone pretty easily. Just press this tab right here. Press that in and it pop it out. And then you just got your 4 bolts there. And your 4 bolts there. So I do believe we need to pull the wiring out of this stock bumper here for the auxiliary lights to reuse it in the new bumper. So I'll get to that. Okay, so basically to get at this wire for the 2 auxiliary lights, our floodlights, you need to pull this entire plastic interior out of the outer shell there. So there's just a bunch of these little screws, a bunch of these little guys right here, and just zip, 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 pull them all out, and it pretty much comes off. I also had to remove this piece here that I took off first. That was easy. So, and then the light is just 2 screws here, 2 screws there, pops right out. Hopefully it fits in the new bumper. All right, we got the stock bumper on the weigh scale. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's at 23.5 pounds. Wow, that is pretty light. Of course, it is all plastic except for this metal interior piece. All right, so the fog lights do fit perfectly. Got one of them mounted in there. I did have to switch to some different screws, which is basically a bolt with a washer and nut, because the stock screws were like self-tapping into plastic. Fits right in perfectly, and then we'll take the wire harness that came out of the stock bumper and just attach it to both lights and route it. And then what I'll probably do is these auxiliary lights that come with the bumper, probably just wire these right, splice it right into this line here. So I'll get that done and I'll show you. You can see the wires coming off the LED side lights that came with the bumper, and I teed them into the main wire harness for the floodlights here on both sides. So now she's ready to put on the truck. Let's see if I can do this by myself. Okay. All right, I got the bumper in place and everything's wired up. I only got 1 bolt in, holding it in place, but I want to turn the Jeep on and check the lights before I go any further. All right, awesome, they all kicked on. Very cool. So here we have the side lights. I'll know better at nighttime if they do any good, but in either way, they're cool. Everything's good here. All right, let's button her up and bolt on the winch. So before we mount the winch on the bumper, we want to take this long negative cable, and this nut was right here. This is the bottom of the winch. So I just took the nut off. Let's put on this negative wire, then the battery negative wire, then a flat washer, about a smidge of Loctite. the Loctite, and then the nut. And we want the battery negative cable to go out the back side, not the front. I have a 13mm wrench. Don't need to crank down on it too hard, but you don't want it to come loose either. And then the 4 square nuts for the bottom of the winch to hold it on the truck go in these slots right here. All right, I did already pre-fit this on the bumper, just make sure we're good. And everything cleared, and it was good. And then I'm just gonna feed the battery negative cable between the bumper and the grill to go underneath. We're gonna go in under here and then come up through the engine bay. Okay, so there's that. Now we can come underneath from the bottom and put the 4 bolt in. Make sure the winch is square with the Jeep and the bumper before I tighten it down, because the holes are slotted. You can see here, this thing moves quite a bit. So make sure you have it square before you lock her down. Just wanted to show you guys what it looks like from underneath the bumper. So there's the floodlight for the driver's side. And here's one bolt for the winch. There's another one here. And obviously the same thing over here, bolt and a bolt. So the bolts to access the winch are super easy to get at. So tons of access down here. Here's the wires. I'm just gonna take zip ties and button them up really nice and snug. Here's the positive and negative battery cables that come off the back of the winch that I'm gonna route up through here somewhere. And there you have it. So just bring your red and your black lead up through here. There's a nice opening, plenty of space. So take your black lead, I just brought it around like this, came up right here, connect to the battery. And then the red lead, I routed this way and connected to the battery right there. There's the terminal it's connected to. Let's go ahead and connect the hook to the end of the rope. So you just have this pin and a, what do you call that, a circlip? Cotter pin, yeah, cotter pin. Put it like this, put the pin through here. And put the cotter pin through the hole. And then just kind of open it up like that so it doesn't want to fall out. I'll do the other side too. And then this normally can hook right here. When you snug the rope down, snug it down to where it pulls that tight. Or if you didn't have one of these, you could take this strap and hook it over here onto this, like that, and pull that tight. Then you'd have that like that. It's not all bad, not as sexy as something like this. So what I'll do is I would take this off and just reapply it when I want to pull the rope out and just run it like that. Looking good. All right, now it is time for the grand finale. Attaching the monster, what is it, 11,200 lumens, 9-inch COLIGHT Shark X series. So there's a big bolt that goes through the bracket, and a flat washer, lock washer, big old nut. And I haven't finalized the wiring on the winch. I'm gonna do that when I do these lights too. Right now I'm just getting everything in place and getting a good visual so I can see if I like it or not. There we go. Okay. I always save this for last. Let me get the other one on. Make sure everything's square. And if you want to, I guess you could dangle them out a little bit, but that would just look probably a little weird. Unveil those lenses. Ooh-wee. And then angle this, angle that. All right, guys, here we are in the local mountains. Everything's mounted up. I want your honest opinion. What do you think of this getup? I love these daytime running lights, and I can tell as I'm driving here, people coming the other way, everybody's looking at them and like, damn, those are cool. Got your little side marker lights on the new bumper. It's just a nice, clean, I was going to say minimal because of the bumper, but when you have a 9-inch light on the front of your Jeep, there's nothing minimal about that. The winch is tucked in so nice. It's so compact that you almost can't even see it from the front. Here, all you see is the rope there. But I don't know. I like it. I really do. I want to know what you guys think. The lights kind of remind me of like a Dakar rally vehicle. You know, I mean, they're bigger than usual, but I think they're pretty sick. As a reminder, you've got 2 DRLs, which is daytime running lights. You've got your 6-watt amber, 6-watt white. You've got your 62-watt low beam and your 113-watt high beam. So my favorite for daytime driving, I love the amber. Here it is right here. And you can see here that it's got what they call a dynamic sequential flow effect. So for the first 5 seconds after you turn them on, they have like this animated light up, which I think is very cool. So when you run these DRLs, there's 0 added visibility. They're really just for looks and so people can see you better. Next up, let's look at the low beam, 62 watt, 6,200 lumens. That's how much you're getting. And that's with the headlights off. So that's how much added light you're getting in addition to the headlights. So let's go to the high beam, 113 watts, 11,300 lumens. Bam. And here's the side LED lights that came with the bumper, lighting up your left side and right side. I have them wired into the standard floodlights in front. Yeah, those things do a great job. One thing I notice as I'm driving off-road, you see a little bit of vibration in the light. See that? Kind of a flickering. Okay, so while we're driving, let's take a look at these beams. Here's the low beam. Pow, look at that. Before, after, wow. And then here's the high beam. Oh, that is miraculous. Yeah, it's huge improvement. Let's go back to the low beam. It's crazy because the low beam is a lot closer to the high beam than I thought it would be. So there's the low beam. There's the high beam. Obviously there's a difference. Here's your high beam. Look how it lights up that mount in front of me. Without, with it. I mean, what a difference. That is excellent. So anyways, what we're doing out here is we're going to stretch the rope of the new winch. That's something you're supposed to do when you get a new winch. You can't just start using it. You got to stretch it first. And what that does is it makes the rope tight on the drum. So, like, let's say if I didn't stretch it and I went to use it to rescue somebody or whatever, and I only removed the rope or only pulled the rope out about halfway, then what's going to happen is the loose rope that's already on the spool, it can start to bunch up and intertwine and damage the rope. So what we're going to do is, I'm parked about 80 feet from a tree, and I'm going to wrap my tree saver around this base of this tree right here, and then I'm going to run the rope obviously from the winch to the tree saver, and we'll just pull the Jeep in neutral and let it spool back up, and that'll tighten everything up. So let's get it set up. Okay, first thing I want to do here is put this here on free spool. So I just turn it like that and it pops into place, and now I can detach my hook. This will be able to be pulled out. And I also have this strap that OpenRoad supplies with your winch, and I'll put this here. I can't do that with one hand, but I'm going to put that on there, grab my gloves, and I'm going to pull this to the tree. So what you want to do is pull your rope out to where there's about 5 rows of rope still on the spool. I've heard a lot of different numbers on this. Warren says 10. OpenRoad says 5. So you know what? I'm going to do 7, and we'll go with that. Now, ideally, I would like this tree to be at ground level. It's actually going to be around 4.5, 5 feet above the ground, but I think we're all right. And the Jeep is on a little bit of a downhill, so I'll have that weight pulling against it, which is good. Now, OpenRoad also offers accessories for their winches. This is their tree saver strap right here. Very nice. I don't know how long this thing is. It looks pretty long, but I'm going to wrap that around this tree right here and get it set up. Got a little strap on here to hold it together. Okay. Preferably, I'd like it to be just like that. Yeah, look how long that thing is. That is like 10 feet. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so I'm gonna back the Jeep up a little bit to spool out some more of the rope. You can see it's getting tight. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we got about 7 loops of rope around the winch. So I think that's a good starting point. Show you here. So you can see here the rope goes from naked to having like a black covering right there. I'm not sure what that's all about, but I think that's telling you, yeah, you don't want to go beyond that. Anyhow, let's hook up the controller. One thing you want to do, make sure you re-engage the winch. See right here. Turn it like that till it snaps. Ready to go. So the controller just plugs in over here on the passenger side. Right there. And now I can take this and I can either stand outside the vehicle and let it just pull along, or sometimes people like to get into the driver's seat and control it from there. I'm just going to give it a little test here and slack out the rope. There we go. All right, I'm going to choose to be inside the Jeep for this because don't close your door all the way, you'll pinch your line. I'll just bring it in through the window here. Because you want your Jeep to be in neutral, obviously. And if it's in neutral and something happens to the line, your Jeep's going to roll away. All right, so release the parking brake. Jeep's in neutral. Oh, make sure your motor's running because you want that to feed extra juice to your winch. And I'm going to go about 6 feet and then check the line to make sure it's feeding smoothly. Okay, I'll put the 4-wheel drive into neutral also, just because I don't know if that could have an effect on this. Foot off the brake. Nice and slow. It's definitely a slow process. Sometimes maybe rev your motor up to around 2,000 RPM, just because. Okay, parking brake on, put it back in park. That's about 6 feet. Make sure it's spooling up good. Yeah, looks like it's spooling up perfectly. So, all right, let's keep going. Put on the brake, put it in neutral, turn off the e-brake, put your foot off the brake. Here we go. I'll go another 6 feet and then I'll check it again. Now I've seen guys do this on a flat land, and what they do is they actually click the e-brake, maybe 2 or 3 clicks, just to kind of put a drag, put more pressure on the rope. All right, let's check it again. All right, still feeding perfectly. Let's keep on going. Now another thing you can do is turn your steering wheel left and right to help feed the rope on your hub, you know, perfectly. So far I'm just keeping my wheels straight because everything's working great. All right, she's spooling up perfectly. Keep on going. All right, so I'm about 11 feet from where the black here starts on the rope to my Jeep. And what you want to do is you want that to be about 6 feet. You'll just hand reel in the last 6 feet and be good to go. You may have noticed I just lay a towel over my rope here. I don't have one of those dampening devices, so threw that on there. So let's bring this in to about 6 feet from the end and then we'll finish it off. Another thing I did was the Jeep started to get up to here, which is more flat. So to put a little more tension on the rope, I took the e-brake and I pulled it up 3 clicks, and that added a little more tension to the rope just to keep it tight. Just pulled the e-brake a little bit harder. You could see how the rope started to get a little bit of slack in it. So just pull your e-brake till that slack goes away and you should be good to go. All right. Keep your motor running till you get your rope all the way back in. Slack the rope out just a little bit so I can unhook it from the tree saver. Good. Okay. Go ahead and pull on the rope just to give it some tension as you reel it in by hand. Let's take this off so it's not flapping in the wind. Right there. There you go. Done. All right, so wiring up these lights, it's pretty basic. Like I said, they came with a harness that plugs into the main cord coming off the back of the light. You'll see a plug like that right there coming off the harness. So you simply plug the harness into these 2 lights. The harness is a split single into 2 to go to each light. So just plug in the 2 lights. I went ahead and ran the harness underneath the grill, and I came up right through here. There's a nice opening. And at the other end of the harness, you're going to find this on-off switch. These control the high beam and the low beam only. So what you're going to want to do is, you'll see it has a coupling right here. Just cut the wires about 4 inches before this coupling, and then this is not going to be used. Just toss that. Now at the other end that you just cut, the red and the black wire, then you're not going to use these anymore. So the only wires we're going to use is the blue and the white. And what you want to do is you want to connect these two wires to two of the wires that are down here that control the auxiliary switches inside your Jeep. You'll see 4 wires that there's 2 heavy gauge wires and 2 lighter gauge wires. You're going to want to wire the blue and the white wire to those 2 heavy gauge wires, one to one, one to the other. Those are auxiliary switch numbers 1 and 2. So that takes care of that part. Now, if you remember earlier when I was showing you these lights, there was also a yellow wire and a white wire individually coming off the back. So because we have 2 lights, I took the 2 yellow wires and I brought them together and twisted them. I took the 2 white wires, brought them together and twisted them. And then I grabbed a separate wire that I had here, a double lead wire. So 2 wires coming out. I split it. I wired one of the wires to the yellow wires, the other wire to the white wires. Then I just ran them down underneath the grill, came up right here. And those 2 wires go to the other 2 wires for the auxiliary switches. They're the smaller gauge wires. Those are numbers 3 and number 4. So here's your 4 auxiliary switches, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So like I said, I got 1 and 2. 1 is high beam, 2 is low beam, 3 is the amber driving light, and 4 is the white driving light. Now you might be saying, why do you have all 4 of your switches tied up to just 2 lights? Well, what I can do eventually is disconnect number 4 because I'm not really going to use the white driving light, and I can disconnect number 2 because I don't really want to use the low beam. I'm just going to want the high beam and the amber auxiliary. So that frees up 2 of the switches. So the auxiliary switches are already live and they'll function, but if you want to adjust their functionality, just go into settings right here. Let me start the motor. So just go into settings. You'll have this menu here. Scroll down to auxiliary switches. And you've got your 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if I'll go into here. So what you want to do here is you want this to be set to latching, power source, ignition, and then recalled last state checked also. What that does is whatever light you have turned on when you turn off the motor will turn on automatically. So you can see here, if I turn on number 3, where is it? If I turn on number 3 and I turn off the Jeep, and then I go to turn it back on, number 3 kicks on automatically, which is really nice. And I like to have my auxiliary lights and amber on all the time. So there you go. All right, if you guys want to get the VIJAY Stubby bumper, the OpenRoad winch, or the COLIGHT Shark X lights, check the description of this video. All the links are in there and you will save some money. So anyways, that about does it. Let me know what you think of this getup, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.